Hey y'all, Bob with Million Mile Garage, and we're going to finish taking our FOD 5.0 apart. You notice I said FOD 5.0 and not Ford 5.0. If you watched last episode, you can see why we call it a FOD 5.0. We still have our hose clamp embedded into the surface of the piston. We're just going to take the rest of the accessories hanging off the front of the engine. You see we already got the other cylinder head off from last episode. And then we're going to roll the engine over and start taking the internals out. Piece of cake. Okay, sure. Hey, just showing you all right here. It's rusty around the edge here and a little bit there. And there's chunks of what was hanging around the, the gasket. The head gasket, that was right here in the head valley or lifter valley. I think probably what happened is when the cylinder got pressurized with the coolant from the broken cylinder head, it probably did push coolant past the gasket here and here a little bit. So maybe not technically a blown head gasket, but it definitely broke the seal there. There you go. Yeah, you get that locating dowel too, so that's probably a little bit. Yeah, it came right off. Hey, just checking this out.
Oh crap. Oh,
yeah, you're pissing on me, that's alright. No worries. Hey, just showing y'all. This timing chain set, I don't think it has 1,000 miles on it. And you see that? It's already loosened up just a little bit. Nothing major, but it did loosen up. I'm not a huge Ford guy, but we're just looking at the roller lifters with those little notches. And I could have swore a buddy of mine said they all needed to point a certain way. I can't remember if it was towards the pistons or away from the pistons, but I'm noticing that this doesn't seem to be the case. They seem to just be randomly installed from the factory. This engine's never been apart before. So show that one, and then show this one right here. And we've already looked at these two. We've disturbed them, but we haven't removed them. See, that one doesn't have the notch facing towards the piston. That one doesn't. And then randomly, why don't we just take, do this one. And that one points towards the lifter valley, and that one doesn't. So I'm going to call bullshit on that and say it doesn't matter. But we are going to make sure that they go back in the same hole, the same way they came in and out. Not sure it makes a whole lot of difference on a roller lifter. Again, these lifters are chilled steel. The block is pretty hard. I just can't imagine that there's enough wear that's taking place that's going to make much difference either way, other than they just need to be, you need to have those dog bones oriented properly. When they're reinstalled. If you notice, they do seem to, and again, I don't know if that makes any difference or not either. You see where it says up, and they're just kind of random, right? There's one there, that one goes that way, that one goes that way. So I think that makes no difference. Yep, I don't think it makes any difference at all. I think you can turn those around. I don't think it matters. So I don't think there's a whole lot of difference there, orientation-wise. And again, you probably could take these out and mix them all up and put them back in the different holes. They're roller lifters. probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference one way or the other, but hey, we'll keep them in order anyway, just because I've got OCCD. You almost got it. There you go. We can worry about that. Yeah, that'll come off. There's some sealer on there. You probably still get it off. Give it a good yank, it'll come. There you go. We just got to get this appliance off. I think we got 2 fasteners. Then we can very carefully pull the camshaft out.
Oh, cameras. I thought I rounded it for a second.
Yeah, they're not. It's not a real heavy duty fastener. It's not going to be super tight. Probably was like 15 foot-pounds.
I just mildly panicked because I thought I was feeling it round.
Yeah, felt like you sheared it off. Yeah. And that's I think that's the cheapest Pittsburgh socket you can get from Harbor Freight and wrench set. I think it was on sale at Christmas for $9.99, the full set. Not the highest quality. And the chrome doesn't even look like chrome. I don't know what that is on there. But if I'd have known what those look like when I got them home, I probably wouldn't have bought them. But hey, tools are tools. They're hard enough. All right, we're just going to get a long bolt and stick it in the snout there. Then we'll very carefully remove this roller cam. All right, we're just going to get the cam out. That's a pretty healthy cam from the factory, right? This engine's never really been apart. So Austin's got to be real careful as he slides this out because the cam lobes are trying to contact the journals as it goes out, the bushings. So he kind of has to very carefully. And you're basically doing it blind. There you go. Easy peasy. We just stuck a long bolt in on the end that gives us a little extra leverage when you've got to lift the cam up, because when it drops out, it's real hard to get it over the first bushing. So there it is. I think Austin was telling me this was a billet piece, the factory cam, and this was a pretty hairy cam for when these were new. You know, again, it's got like a 276 axle ratio.
273.
273. 336 first gear though, right? Because it's a 5-speed. But this thing was always a little loppy running through the parking lot. A lot of times you'd have to pick second or third so the car wouldn't buck. It was like that when it was brand new. But I guess coupled with those E7 heads, it was never as free breathing as it could have been. But I always thought that was, I thought they were getting away with a lot to have a camshaft that radical and have it pass emissions and everything back when it was new. But the camshaft looks to be in perfect condition. Obviously roller cams, they don't take the beating like a sliding tappet cam does. Or a flat tappet. It's not a sliding cam. Just looking down the hole. Yep, you can see all the bushings. We didn't scar anything up too bad getting it out. You're always going to get a few little marks here and there, but you know, these bushings got 250,000 miles on them. So, but yeah, they look good. You can always see where the lobes rub just a little bit. It's not gouged, but you can see it left a shiny spot. No big deal. Yep, just looking in there. So next thing we're going to do is we're just going to roll this engine over. And we'll start taking the bottom end out.
Is it okay if I put this on the floor?
Okay, we got the engine rotated over. We're running out of daylight, at least natural light in the garage, so we're going to have to flashlight this. But I just wanted to show you guys real quick. Especially this is news to me because I haven't taken a Ford small block apart before. But you can see here, that's a number 1 on that connecting rod. And they basically number these the way the firing order is on these. So just showing you where I did the firing order, you know, where we put the parts. You can see the driver's side is 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side, on the passenger side. So we've got this rolled over looking at the passenger side. And you can see right there, there's the number 1 rod. And then if I slide down in here a little bit, see if I light it up just right. There's number 2, and it's numbered on both sides. Kind of cool. And then show you number 3 and number 4. And then of course on the other side, it's the same thing. I think we're gonna have, if I can find it. Yep, there's 5. And then there's 6, 7, and 8. Pretty cool, huh? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to drive out the number 5 piston, because that's the one that's got the frag on it, or the hose clamp. So we'll get that unbolted and drive that out, and then we'll examine the cylinder. And I'm pretty sure we're going to find the cylinder, other than it being scarred up a little bit, is not cracked or badly damaged. So really the only thing we're looking at doing right now is we're going to be chasing cylinder heads, and we're probably just going to do a basic overhaul. But let's get that one piston out anyway. That's right, gotta lean into it. All right, get those off.
Wait, so it's actually a nut on a stud?
Yep.
I figured it would have been a bolt.
Nope. Brass drift, and we're just going to use this just to gently tap this away from the crank. Yep, we got a little ways to go on the piston, but I think we can go ahead and just pull this journal out. See that? And the bearing insert stayed in there, and I'm not sure the bearing insert doesn't look too bad. I was just curious, maybe if it got, damaged. I don't think it spun. We'll get that out after we push the piston down, but we're gonna have to. What I should have done was put some. I should have put some rubber over these so we don't scar up the journals. Tell you what, I'm gonna put a little piece of rubber on each one of those studs, and we're gonna have to rotate the crank out of the way. You see, we're gonna contact the bottom of the block right there. I just want to get that one piston out so we can look at the cylinder. All right, we got the crank moved out of the way. We had to just stick our balancer back on real quick. And Austin's just going to push that. Put some rubber on there so we don't scar up the journals on the crank. Austin's just going to push that damaged piston out. Should come out pretty easy.
Got it.
There you go.
So
Slide it out.
look at that.
Oh yeah, beat the hell out of it. Yeah, go ahead and bring it up here where we can take a good look at it topside.
Yeah, you can feel the chunk missing there.
Yeah, it hurt it bad.
So I assume that's what was getting the
Yeah,
cylinder.
it blew pieces of the FOD, down past it when it got destroyed. Tell you what, the skirt is just lightly scored, and some of that scoring could just be because the oil got kind of blown away by all the coolant and everything. But looking at the bearing insert, you can see where that got hammered pretty bad. See that?
Is that a different color because it got hot?
That's a different color because it wore the bearing material away.
Okay.
And I'm guessing because this one got hydrolocked, I don't think it spun the bearing, right? So that connecting rod is okay, but I think that really got hammered. Just looking down in here, I'm trying to reach in. I think I can just reach up to the hole and grab it. See, on the other side, it's not hammered as bad.
You want me to rotate this around so we can see the cylinder
Sure.
easier? All right. I'm gonna do it this way.
You gotta take the
Oh, yeah.
lock out. Yep. We'll move it around. What do we leave laying in there?
I don't know. Tool. Something. Cap.
Yep. Let me fish that cap out first. Yeah, just looking at the surface there where the insert rides, the bearing insert. Yeah, it definitely didn't spin the bearing, but you can tell by the back side of it, looks like it was getting hammered to me.
I'm gonna wipe it off.
Yeah, you can wipe it off. And then just coming down here and looking at the the back side of that bearing. I was a little surprised there was as much metal missing as there was. I can just kind of illuminate the back of that a little bit. We really should do this in morning light so we got a little better. That's not too bad right there. You can see where you know, the top surfaces of the material is worn away, and I think that was from that piston basically trying to hydrolock, you know, because there was a massive hole in that cylinder head. And just for some of you guys tuning in that maybe didn't watch the other part, basically a hose clamp got ingested, and it punched a hole in the cylinder head when I got wedged between the piston and, you know, and the wedge part of the head, and it was such a massive hole. We think it probably hydrolocked the engine, because when we had to have a flatbed at home, the engine wouldn't turn over.
You're taking that bearing out?
Until the next day. Yeah, it'll come right out. I just set it in there. So you can see that looks, and that probably just wipes off. But yeah, I would say that was getting hammered pretty good. Yeah. I'd be surprised if the other bearings look like that. I bet the other bearings don't look that bad. Yeah, that was a fair amount of damage there, I would think. Now, again, you know, 250,000 miles, I know you can wear away some bearing material. You know, like these are probably, you know, some type of tri-metal bearing, right? Probably, I'm guessing they're steel, and then they've got, you know, some type of copper or brass, and then they've got tin, and then I think the upper part is, I'm not sure, maybe some kind of aluminum or something. I think they used to call these tri-metal. But you can see it's worn down to, I guess the last layer, right? That'd be the base layer, I guess, on the steel. I think that's a steel bearing insert. It's just plated, you know, so it's got a softer surface for the journal and the crank. And the crank doesn't look scored. I'll have to wipe that off, but it looks, yeah, there's no damage to the crank, so we're real lucky there. I don't think any damage to the crank. I don't think that connecting rod's damaged. It doesn't look like it got turned blue or anything. It didn't get spun or anything, so it's fine. So, but yeah, it definitely, it did a number on that piston. It sure did. Yep, that's a hose clamp embedded into the piston. Austin rolled it over. I don't think it punched all the way through. No, I guess not. Okay, cool. And again, you know, if you were dead ass broke like me 25 years ago, if I'd have taken that apart and seen that, I probably would have filed the edges of that piston smooth again, and I would have dug that out and hoped there was not a big hole, and I kind of filed that over a little bit, and we'll roll this engine over so you can get a better look at it. But I probably would have gone. Actually, you know what? We'll pick up on this tomorrow when we got some good morning light coming through that window behind Austin. That's when we get our best light in here. And we'll show you that cylinder. And it doesn't look like it's cracked or anything. We got really lucky there. You know, again, just showing original crosshatch. Yeah, kind of sickening. But hey, shit happens. This engine's a high miler. It wouldn't surprise me, because it was using more oil than usual. It wouldn't surprise me if when we take these rings off and you know, poke them back down into the cylinder bore, I'm sure these rings have opened up quite a bit. Even though the cylinders look good, the rings could have worn away. I think Ford used chrome moly rings on these at the factory. These are pretty nice setup. Forged pistons, forged connecting rods. They look forged to me anyway. Yeah, maybe not. We'll take a look at that. It looks like, I think those were forged. I don't think those are cast. Yeah, that looks like a forged line to me. Yep, forged rods, forged pistons, cast crank. Nothing wrong with the cast crank. They're good up to 400 or 500 horsepower. So yeah, that's where we're at right now, and we'll pick this up in the morning. Take the rest of it apart, and yep, I think we got our work cut out for us. But I don't think it's going to be that bad.